You know, something I didn't have for my 2025 bingo list is that Nintendo going to war on a consumer level with Sega and Palworld. Of course, to be honest, I didn't. Palworld, they kind of were to war with them on a legal level since 2024. But at least on a consumer level, Palworld comes out with Pal Farm. Sonic apparently has a good kart racing style game. And this is even funnier because apparently the new Mario Kart world, a lot of people don't like how they implemented it. You know, they just want to play racing game. They don't want to do the old open world stuff. And I don't honestly fault the developers of Mario Kart World for trying this out. You know, because sometimes they miss when they try new things. You know, Mario Sunshine is an example of that, where fans of the Mario platforming games didn't particularly care for Sunshine. But, you know, then you got, what was it, Galaxy afterwards, and Galaxy 2. So sometimes you have to miss in order for you to hit further down the road. So I'm not going to write them off. But, you know, it's just kind of funny. Now, what happens next? Because people assume that this is going to be the end of it. No, because of Nintendo's incompetence and failure to start bringing their older games at the bare minimum to PC, they leave a huge market for potential customers to buy those games instead if someone releases a good game that gives you a similar feeling to one of Nintendo's big spin-off games. You know, imagine someone comes along and does a Mario Party style game very freaking well, to the point that it, you know, releases on PC, releases on Xbox, releases on PlayStation, may release on the Switch depending on how Nintendo feels about it. Could potentially take away sales from their next Mario Party style game. So that's the thing. You don't know what's going to happen next. And all they would have to do to counter a lot of these, you know, potential encroachment on their games is release their games on PC. I'm an advocate that console exclusives are the dumbest thing in 2025. It just does not make sense on a consumer level. It does not make sense on a business level. Business level being more potential customers for your games. And if your game is kind of niche, well, having more potential customers means it gives the game a better chance at being more successful. And by it being more successful, it incentivizes the company to spend more time, money, and resources to make the next game in the series better. So overall, Nintendo, you know, the ball's in your court. How are you going to handle it? Are you going to handle it like Netflix, or are you going to handle it like Blockbuster? No, I don't think they would go the way of Blockbuster. That would be a whole new level of incompetence that I don't think Nintendo is at that level of incompetence, thankfully, for those who aren't aware. Blockbuster failed to adapt to, you know, the way the entertainment industry was going with the movies and TV shows. And because they failed to adapt until it was too late, they went out of business. Netflix came along and introduced like the streaming services, you know, to everyone. Then you started seeing all the other ones like, you know, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, HBO Go, whatever the hell they're calling it now. All these other different streaming services, Peacock, Paramount, and that's what happened. Netflix seen the writing on the wall. They got the first mover's advantage. Blockbuster just went out of business. I think they might have one or two stores open as more of like a museum type thing, but for the most part, they're done. And that's the interesting thing. Right now, Nintendo so far has shown no inclination to bringing their games to PC. That is a Blockbuster move. Now, thankfully, they're in a position where even if they only continue to release their games on like a Nintendo console, they probably won't. Actually, no. To be honest, now that I think about it, how many Wii U's can they handle? If they only release their games on, you know, let's say the next big Mario game, and their console has a level of success as the Wii U, well, now their potential customer base is pretty low. But if they have a Wii U level console, because I think this is the thing that Xbox figured out, is like our console sales don't matter. That is no longer as relevant to the success of our games, our or the Xbox ecosystem because we release our games on PlayStation, we release our games on the PC, release our games on Switch, release our games on every possible platform. So our games and developers have every chance at making a successful game that they would need. PlayStation is starting to do that. Nintendo, if they experience another Wii U, I think that would probably be the moment they actually follow. Like if they aren't already behind the scenes and we just haven't got an announcement, I think that'll be the time when they actually say, "Yep, let's start releasing our games on every platform. We can't miss out on this." And to be honest, I think their games are being made in more easier to port, things. I heard Unity, if I remember correctly, for one of their remasters or remakes. So probably wouldn't take as much effort to port that over to PC, maybe even other consoles. So yeah, the way I see it, it's going to be interesting time over the next 5 to 10 years to see who else comes out and releases another game that Nintendo hasn't brought on PC yet. And actually, to be honest, maybe within that time frame, we see Nintendo start bringing their games to PC. That is also a possibility because a lot of people are saying, what do you mean 5 to 10 years? Well, the reality is in the video game industry, dev cycles are like 4 to 5 years for an average, on average for the games. Some of them are saying that it's 5 to 7 years now. I'm going to stick with the 4 to 7 year range. Well, 4 years from now would be 2029. 7 years from now would be 2032. So that would be a time frame where if people get the inspiration to try and release a game that's not being satisfied on PC, that might be more exclusive to the Nintendo console, like a Mario Party style game. That's a possibility. Maybe more people take a shot at making another Pokemon-like experience, and we get a different style. Instead of an open world survival game, maybe we get a turn-based. Have we had an open world turn-based survival game with like Pokemon-like creatures? That's still out there, people. This one, you have your moves and whatnot, and you can tell them when to do it, but it's real time. What if someone takes a crack at making a Palworld style game or a Pokemon-like open world survival game or just an open world Pokemon game, but they add the turn-based element to it? That could be another game that does really well. So yeah, there's still a lot of potential there for the Pokemon-like experience. That hasn't been, capped out even within the open world survival genre. So I'm interested to see how this Nintendo, Sega, War with Nintendo plays out. There's a lot of potential spin-off games that Nintendo has done over the years. Maybe other companies should start looking at their IP and saying, what kind of games can we take inspiration from Nintendo that would go well, on the other platforms that Nintendo don't release on, PlayStation, Xbox, PC. And I think once you come to the realization you're missing out on potential a lot of money, I think we'll see more of them. So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of this Palworld Sega war with Nintendo? How do you think it's going to play out?